Hello, I'm Liana Gray. I was introduced to the Wisdom Pearl by John Richardson, who is the founder of this amazing company, RNC Apricot Seeds. So he introduced me to Ivan, and Ivan and I got chatting because John told Ivan, you have to meet Liana because Liana practices Sabbath. And so Ivan got really excited because people who practice Sabbath, we get really excited about other people who practice Sabbath. And so that's how we connected and we met.
When were you first introduced to the Sabbath?
I was first introduced to the Sabbath last year, 2024, and I had read about it in the Bible how God wanted us to keep a Sabbath so that we could have a rest day, to rest and rejuvenate and to worship Him and receive from Him and just love Him and just have an amazing day with the Lord. So when I learned that, I was like, that sounds amazing. So I started doing it on Sunday because I thought that was, church day, holy day. And I was doing it Sunday and it never really felt right. And I never felt rested or rejuvenated because I'd have to get up in the morning, get dressed up, go to church, be social. I love church days, but it felt more like not a rest day. It felt like being a productive day. So then I dug deeper and I looked into the Old Testament and it said that it was traditionally practiced on Saturday. Well, I missed the Friday evening part at that point. So I started to have an entire day off. Saturday was my day off, the entire day. And because I had learned in the Old Testament that actually the seventh day is Saturday. The first day of creation is Sunday, not Monday, but we all think it's Monday because of the work system and all of that. So I learned that the seventh day was Sabbath, so that was the day to rest and just look back at the week and look at all the amazing things that I had been able to experience with the Lord and just rest and receive. And my energy just shot through the roof. My whole life changed when I started Sabbath on Saturday and just getting that rest. But then I spoke to Ivan and Ivan pointed out in the Old Testament, it actually says about how God created the seventh day on the evening of Friday. So Genesis 1:5 says, and God called the light day and the darkness He called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So Sunday evening and Monday morning are the first day. So therefore Friday evening and Saturday morning is the seventh day, the day of our rest. So by that logic, the seventh day, the Sabbath, begins on Friday at sunset because that's when the new biblical day starts. When Ivan pointed that out, then I started practicing now Friday evening to Saturday evening, and it is so much better because now I really work so hard from, I start work on Sunday and then work till Friday, and then Friday afternoon I start to wind down and prepare for the evening for the sunset, and then if I'm in the right place, I can go out and actually watch the sunset, and which is such a treat. And then just wind down, and then I have that whole Saturday just to myself and the Lord to rest, to whatever I want to do for rest and relaxation, rejuvenation. And then Saturday evening I start to turn my mind a little more of like, okay, now I want to prepare for tomorrow, for church and for the week ahead and productivity. I see how God set it up like that because He wants us to be ahead, because He's always ahead, and for us to be organized and kind of planning. And it just feels so nice like that. I have so much more energy. I feel so much more in control of the week. I feel like it's not just chaotic and I'm just scrambling to keep up. And yeah, it's just such an amazing day for rest and rejuvenation. So grateful for that. And then Leviticus 23:32 says, from even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. So it's such a treat for us to be able to have a Sabbath day, and it is actually one of the 10 commandments. It was the core moral and spiritual laws given by God to Moses on Mount Sinai, which to me is amazing. It's one of the 10 commandments, and we focus so much on all the other commandments, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder, all of that, but we don't focus on the importance and the gravity of having a Sabbath day. God commands us to do that. How amazing is He? What a good Father He is to say, you shall have a rest day. And it's up to us to want to do that and say yes to and receive that. But it's just so amazing. I couldn't imagine why anyone wouldn't want a day just to be filled up from the Lord. Exodus 28:11 says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall not do work. I love that excuse just not to do work, and it makes me more productive throughout the week because I'm like, okay, Sunday I'm really starting to get into productivity, and then Monday through Friday I am working so like high energy, very productive. Yeah, so that is why I now keep the Sabbath.
How was your experience at the Will You Be Made Whole conference?
The Will You Be Made Whole conference in Arizona recently was amazing. It was way more than I expected. It was a gathering of people who have faith and people who are in the health industry, who are helping people heal physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And so there were so many great speakers there. I loved Charlie Kirk when he was speaking about the Sabbath and keeping it holy. He said it was such a good break for him to speak about Sabbath and talk about Jesus rather than just talk about politics all the time. So that was really refreshing to hear that from a young person encouraging other people to take the Sabbath break. And I just saw so many people there in tears, crying of joy and relief, finding certain practitioners or doctors or certain products like the Apricot Seeds or the CBDA from Vanessa that were really helping to heal their health ailments. And it was just awesome to see so many people get healing from that weekend. And I met some of the greatest people of my life at this event, which was quite surprising, honestly. But I shouldn't be surprised, because when you gather these really good, wholesome people like this together, of course we're going to meet friends for life. And John Richardson was trying to introduce me to certain people for years and years and years, and finally we all came together at this event as a meeting spot, and we met, and we just have been wanting to meet each other for like 7 or 8 years. So we were able to connect at this event, and I just know for sure that millions of people will be affected from this event. Just for one example, just me being affected positively from this event and then sharing that with my platform, that's helping thousands and thousands and thousands of people. That's just me alone. And there were so many people there that have big platforms, and even people with smaller platforms or who aren't in the public, they go back to their family and their community, and it's a ripple effect, and it ripples out to millions of people. So such a powerful event. Thank you to everyone for putting it on. Thank you for Ivan for putting it on. It was awesome, and I cannot wait for the next one.